Hola, amiga, and welcome back to the Latina Leadership Podcast, the podcast for Latinas by Latinas, where every week we have real conversations about the issues and topics that matter most to our community. Topics like education, health and wellness, entrepreneurship, pay equity, and so much more. Get comfortable. We're bringing you another inspiring episode starting right now. Enjoy the show.
Hola, and welcome to another episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Anjelica. On today's episode, I have Alejandra Salazar. Alejandra, I always let every guest introduce themselves, who they are, and what they do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor for me to be here. My name is Alejandra Salazar, and I'm the founder and CEO of CROING, which is a creative agency where I'm based in New York. And yeah, that's what I do. Basically, the agency focuses on bringing brands closer to people. And that's personally a focus of mine as well. So yeah.
So, you have a little bit of history. I want to know, because I like to bring Latinas from many beautiful nations from Central and South America. Where are you from, or where are your parents from?
So I'm originally from Venezuela. I've been living in 7 countries already: Germany, Mexico, Chile, Spain, Argentina, Venezuela, and the US. And yeah, a lot of my background comes from, I studied in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
A career that has gave me both creative and strategic perspective because it's business but focus on design. Yeah, so I did that, and then I started traveling the world to working with my agency, and then gave me a lot of perspective on culture and how people adapt to technology, to socials, how they interact between each other, and how different people is in each of the countries and each of the cultures, and at the same time how similar we can be. So that's where I'm from.
So when you say that when you said that you connect people, and I completely blanked on it, but you connect people in a very, say it again for me.
We connect brands with people.
How do you do that? How does that happen?
So basically, our team, well, the whole point of marketing is to sell, right? To connect with audiences, to their target audience, so they can understand their products, they can learn about the products and buying or action, whatever the action needs to be. Um, Advertising has evolved within the years, and first or at some point it was all about the product, their characteristics, how this will, like how powerful it is, or how unique it is. And with the years, and also thank you to the internet and social media, that has shifted into, instead of what the product is, or like how it's composed or whatever, how it affects people's life, or how you can use it, or you can experience it. So my agency focus on understanding what people want, what people desire, their nuances, their culture, their, like, what are those things that they're really looking for. So then, using that information, which we do through a lot of social listening, understanding that, then we can create campaigns, or like creativity, but basically campaigns where brands can be closer to them, because they are talking to them through the things they love and like, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
no.
basically, we understand audiences prior to create something, to do creativity. So first we understand people, then we go with the creativity, where we connect the brand, and then we came up with the results.
As you're talking, and this probably is something like between people who've been on the internet for some time, and you've been doing social listening for quite some time now too. We know it to be kind of in repertoire. It's been going on for quite some time now for us, but it's new to the public. It's new to everybody else who doesn't do this for a living, or who isn't immersed in it the way you definitely are, and then sometimes I am. With that being said, is that something that you went to school for, or is that something that you developed? Is that a skill you developed?
The social listening?
All of this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a combination. I went to
Mm,
school and I did business and design. And when you study design, for example, it's not design, is not art. Art is an expression of yourself. Like you can either paint or do music, like whatever you want based on your feelings. And no one, it doesn't follow a rule or it doesn't need to have an explanation. It's just art. With design exists to solve problems. So you need to first understand the problem and then you can design the thing to solve that problem, which tends to be communication problem. So when you study design, you first understand that you need to learn about people so then you can design for them basically.
I love that. I'm writing that down. Design to say it again because I just forgot it. I was trying to remember it. Design to what?
Design, I don't remember specifically, but
Hey,
art, but you have the record.
yeah, yeah. I do have the recording.
Yeah.
Yes. It's designed to help people or something like that. And I was like, I
No,
that was just triggering for me because I was like, oh my God, we everything that it's not impulsive, it's purposeful.
100%.
Yeah.
And with art, that doesn't happen. You either understand it or not. Like it's not the
Yeah.
artist's problem whether you get it or not. It's a feeling. But with design, you need to understand your audience to be able to design to solve their problems,
Yeah.
communication problems. So that was like um, the first moment I kind of entered this on, or the idea of understanding people was, put into my brain.
Mhm.
And then with business, it's not as it's not the same as design, but I studied business for design. Like for example, you will be able when you finish the career to handle a creative agency or a magazine or whatever. So understanding the business tools to be able to manage a company.
Mhm.
But it was all focused on design, as I said. And then after that, I was in Venezuela, and then I started pretty much living in 6 more countries, and that gave me a lot of understanding about culture. I became pretty passionate about how people, as I said, how people communicate, like what are their traditions, their cultures. My first country after Venezuela was Germany, and like they are pretty different as to how we are in Venezuela. And I had two options. I either understand them and adapt myself to their culture to have a great time there, or impose my own culture. So I decided to follow them, but of course I always, I don't know, I bring my own food to the tradition. I spent Christmas there. I was 19, only 19. And I got a boyfriend from Germany. I was like the full package of Germany immersion. And he helped me a lot because people tend to say like, oh, Germans are cold and they don't hug each other and whatever. Like they say many things about Germans, and the reality is that to me, even though they don't, it's true that they don't hug you, and like even if you are their friend, it's not that they will come like we do in Venezuela, for example, that we go hug everyone. They don't do it, but if you need them and they're your friends, they will be there. So
Mhm.
to me, I really try to understand like why they do these things, why they behave the way they behave, and where is the essence of their humanity, right? So, and I discovered it, and it was such a nice feeling for me because I also learned their language, so it also helped me to understand better their culture, and it became some sort of obsession, like a nice obsession, to really every country I went to try to understand why they do this, why they do that, how they express love, what are the things they like the most. So because it was a way for me to connect and to feel home. So yeah, that started like that, and then connecting that with creativity and advertising and my previous experience on my previous learnings led me to found an agency where we could by understanding people and their cultures and their desires and their feelings, we could create campaigns that are, more related to them and help brands being closer to people.
So as you're learning all of this and you're well, I have to ask this. How did you come up with your brand name, Crowing?
CROING, awesome. Well, CROING means, it comes from the words creativity, like the
Mhm.
first letters, and design, like the NIG, and then it means crossing. So the name, like it's a name that
Ooh.
I created using these letters, like creativity and design together, because we started. We has been always a creative agency, but we always, as I'm a designer, we always had this design mind. I wanted to make sure that, like, it was pretty intense, like intentional, and people understand what we're doing, or could understand what we do. And and then under we first were a social media agency, because everything were happening there, people were there, so we were like, okay, brands needs to be there. And 4 years ago, we understood that it wasn't about platforms but about people again. So it was another aha moment. So okay, it's not the platform, it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's people. Remember, that's where we start. And then we pivot into a creative agency, where now we not only do TikTok campaigns or Instagram campaign, but we think about the people, the brand, and the concept. And then we can do a spot, a TV spot, or it can be a social activation, it can be an experiential, it can be whatever. But the name comes from design and creativity and means crossing, which is that's something I gave to the name. Like, it doesn't really mean that, but it means crossing to us. And yeah, it's crossing brands with people.
Mhm. Oh my God. I was like, that's not, no es palabra español.
Yeah.
That's not, and I was like, crowing. I was like, I was very intrigued by the name. That is very smart of you. That
Thank-
is very smart of you. A great idea, great way to be able to implement exactly what you do and to be able to come across, because also in the world of, we can talk about like everything that we do, but we also want to appeal to those companies that we want to work for and get that, so we have to explain these things, and you did an amazing job right now just explaining why the word crowing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So when it comes to specific cultural differences, and as you mentioned, it's not about the platform. It's not about necessarily social media. It's about connecting with the people that are on social media. It's those who are using social media. But when it comes to the people who are on social media, there are usually specific differences with cultures. For you, that you've been doing it for some time now and you have different clients, what has stood out to you?
But like, can you repeat the question again? Like,
Yeah.
what stood out from me in terms of what?
So, in terms of like the cultural differences, so you've worked with some agencies, or you worked with those who speak Spanish and those who speak English and those who speak Spanglish.
Yeah.
What are some of those like things that have like stood out to you with every, I
Kim.
guess, every brand or every campaign that you've developed?
So what are the things that I feel like, where I see the culture more
Mhm.
present in the things we do? Well, I feel we have a lot of campaigns that we are working on right now that I cannot share, sadly, because we'll see live next year. But we did a campaign for Sony Electronics, and it was super fun to do, because we did it in the after pandemic. And basically, their earphones, they are called Linkbuds, and we did a campaign to target Gen Z Hispanics, like US Hispanics. And we find out a lot of insights that this generation has. And in general, like the generation, regardless whether it's US Hispanic or not, they feel like their earphones are part of their body somehow. And that was like the initial insight of the campaign. But then, as we were into, for example, each video or each part of the campaign, we discovered a lot of insights about people. Like, for example, One of the videos is like your mom opening the door without knocking, and then like a lot of insights that we know that exist and that we live through it, but we never saw it in an advertising or in a campaign. So that, I think, it was a nice project to work on, because it was like every video has a different insight, and we could learn more about this US Hispanic and also Gen Z in general. That was one. And then I feel something that people, especially marketers, when I tell them this, they are like, whoa, I never thought about it. I told them, like, look, I understand that maybe you don't want to do bilingual, which, I mean, I actually don't understand it, to be honest. Because, I mean, countries like India, they have like many official languages. In even Canada, they have three or two official languages. Like, it's not, they don't think about it. Should I do English and Spanish? They just do it because it's part of how their nation is built. And
Yeah.
I think, like, being the US, 20% of the population being US Hispanic and growing, with millions of people choosing Spanish as their preferred language, and people, literally many millions of people not knowing English living here, to me is like a no-brainer that brands here should be bilingual. Like, they shouldn't, that shouldn't be a question, but it is. And it's one of the things that I advocate for.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's what I want. That's what I feel makes sense. But when I'm talking with these brands, I'm like, okay, I get that maybe this is not the time for you to go bilingual. But if you at least use one word in Spanish in your product description, in your communication, in your advertising, that one word will make all these 20% connect with you in a way that is so powerful, that
Hmm.
it's just one word, because that little word will make us believe that they get us. And when a brand gets me, then I will become loyal to that brand because they get me.
Yeah.
So I feel the consumer here, the US Hispanic consumer, is not as, I mean, it's like the same thing I did with where when I moved to other countries. I was like adapting to their culture, right? So I wouldn't expect in Germany everyone speaking to me in Spanish. Like, I was learning German. But I feel here is different because of how this nation has been built, and being 20% of the population is not Alejandra from Venezuela in Germany. It's
Hmm.
like 20% of the population. And brands here, this is a pretty, I feel what moved the US is consumption, like people consume, is a pretty consumption, consumist, I think it's the right word,
Yes.
um, country, meaning that then, if that's what moved the economy and the country, meaning that brands have the power to shape the culture. And if those brands don't go bilingual, don't speak Spanish, don't consider our culture, then what are we doing? So I don't remember the initial question, but for
No,
sure.
no. That is, you're spot on. You're and now I understand. Now I see why you speak at conferences. You speak with what you do with such passion, and you're talking to a marketer. You're talking to a PR person, and what you're saying is clicking to me. Not understanding that that's exactly what I have been doing, but I'm learning from you. I think you have a lot of really great insight onto like how it works and how the U.S. Hispanic does work, and how you're right. As you were talking, I thought to myself, you know how big loyalty is to Hispanics, and especially U.S. Hispanics. Because sometimes, even when like my son doesn't speak a lot of Spanish, when my mom who speaks nothing but Spanish recommends something, he understands it. But when she recommends something, it's like for him, it's like my grandma said it. I gotta go try it. I gotta go do it. I gotta go do it. And
Of
I'm,
course.
oh my God,
Of
you're
course.
right.
I saw it, and like we have a dedicated team,
Hmm.
run by Camila Lesire, which is our head of strategy. And we really focus intentionally on understand our culture and our audience and how we behave here, because it's not the same people that live in Venezuela than Venezuelan that live in the US. And as you said, like, maybe I don't, or your kid doesn't speak the language of their grandmother or his grandmother, but he completely follows her
Yeah.
guidance, right? So it's fascinating, and it's crazy that still brands don't get it, but they will get it, and a lot of brands get it already. And you see like some bilinguals, like for example Rare Beauty, they are doing an amazing job. The
Mhm.
National Gallery of Art as well. Like there are brands that are really into the Pepsi also does it great. So there
Okay.
are brands that really gets it, but it's like the less, like the few. And yeah, one of my mission is to actually bring that and make this country more bilingual, as it is already is, because it's not that I want it or I feel it's nice, it's already bilingual. Like you go in the street, you walk in any city, and it's not only Miami, you are in New York, in LA, in Texas, in every city you will hear Spanish. Not all the cities, but like majority of them.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense for brands not to do so. To answer your initial question of what are the things that I see the most, or that are the most powerful in terms of these cultural nuances, is that one, the fact that you still don't see it, but it's growing. And I'm sure and I'm confident that marketers are clever enough to really get there.
Alejandra, I can go down this road of this conversation because I am really, really, right now, I'm very ignited by the conversation with you
Like me.
myself. I even forgot how much time like I've been recording because I was like, I have her here. I need to learn. There's so much that we can learn from you,
Thank
what you do and what you're doing here, bringing all your strengths that you come from Venezuela, your education, even learning abroad and bringing it here with you. And for that, I am forever grateful
thank
for you talking in such a manner that is understood. Gracias, mil gracias.
thank you. Gracias a ti.
Pero con diciendo eso, I have some questions that were suggested to me. So let me stick to some of them because I can talk about this topic forever. Pero as a female, as a leader, as a business owner, what are some of the unique strengths that you find within yourself?
I will say, I mean, I have a lot of strengths. I'm a Leo, so I'm always like, I'm pretty proud of myself. Um, I think one of my or the things that I'm the most the most will be, I'm pretty empathetic, and that was challenging because when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I always wanted to be with my friends, and I'm like, I'm so familiar. I want to my friends. I want to do things. I want to be together like glue. Like I'm super intense, and sometimes people is not as intense as you are, and they need their space. So it was hard when I was a kid for me to understand that people have boundaries. But now that passion I have for people really helps me with my leadership with my team, because for example, one of the things we do at my company is that we lead through friendship. And a lot of, I don't know, other agency owners or other business owners tell me like, what do you mean with friendship? Like, are you friends with your coworkers or like with your employees, as majority of people call them? And I was like, look, I always wanted to have like like friends. I want to do my birthday with a lot of people. So I'm like, if I'm founding a company, people won't be my friend, like my coworkers, because I'm the owner, I'm like the boss. So how I'm gonna make real friends?
Mhm.
So that was challenging, but I wanted to have my own company. So I was like, look, from day one, I was like, okay, I need to be vulnerable so they know they can be vulnerable with me.
Okay.
And I started to like sharing everything. Like, let's say I fall asleep and I don't wake up for a meeting. I'm like, oh, I fall asleep, blah, blah, blah. Always sharing everything, crying, like, I broke up with my boyfriend, crying in front of everyone. Like, all my feelings, like I'm worried because of this, I'm happy because of this, and asking them like, but why do you want to work at 6, or would you rather go, I don't know, with your boyfriend or girlfriend? And they will be like, I'd rather do that, but would that affect? And I'm like, no, do it, and then you can find a way to like make it up, blah blah blah. Always like this transparency help me to build relationships in my company, to the point that one of the first team members that we have, it's Anna. She's the head of design at CROING. I mean, the chief of design at CROING. And she got married last year, and she asked me to be her maid of honor. And yeah, and she wasn't my friend before. Like, we met through an interview. She started working with me with Croin. We started building together. We have been working together for 7 years. And at some point, she's like, "Do you want to be my maid of honor?" And to me, honestly, that was like the result or the full circle of my intention of being friends of my team. And then I want all the leaders to also have the same friendship with their other team members. And to me, just to clarify, because this is a little bit, sometimes people get confused, it's not friendship from a romantic standpoint.
Mhm.
It's a friend that, like, when people is like your real friend, they will go to you. When people are your real friend, they will go to you and will be like, "This is not good, this is wrong, you shouldn't be doing this." Like, it's frontal. Like, your real friends will be complacent with you. They will
Mhm.
go and say the truth, and they will be together, good or bad, but they will be honest. And I told them, like, this leadership is not me, yes, everything is good, everything is perfect. No, I will go frontal. I will say the things I need to say, but because I love you, and I want this to work. So, and because I consider you my friend. So that's something I'm proud of,
Mhm.
because it's a way of leadership that I don't see often, and that I'm seeing how, like, I'm seeing the results, not only in my personal life with this situation, for example, but also in the professional life, where people like her or my sister, which also works with me and is the VP of sales at Croin, and it's like they are high talented professionals. And regardless of the company being, like, small, when we were small, or now that we are bigger, they are still there working together, believing in the dream, believing in the mission. And I feel it's also because we share this friendship, and we share this, being frontal, being honest. So that's something I'm proud of in terms of leadership.
I think that's amazing. I always encourage. So I have a team, and they all live in the same city. And I tell them, and they themselves take initiative to go and get together, to have coffee together, to see each
Yeah.
other. We don't have like a home office per se, but I encourage them to do that and to talk often, to collaborate often, to. But I never thought of it like that. Is like, when you go to grade school, cuando vas a kindergarten, or you go to first grade, and you're kind of like making friends. And so the person that you usually make friend with is sometimes like the person who's sitting next to you, right? So if
Yeah.
it's your worker, if it's your co-worker, you want to have some um likeness. You want to find things that y'all have, that y'all like agree on, or that y'all uh, how would you say this, like compliment each other with.
Yeah.
You take this, I take this. You take this, I take this. That's how we go
Evolve.
forward. Yeah. I really, really like that. I never thought of it like that. Pero okay. Okay. This is
But
really great for
okay.
business owners. Yeah, like okay. This is really great for business owners to understand that it's not that I'm trying to be like that is not I'm trying to be your best friend. Is that I want to come with compassion. I want to come with understanding. You understand me. Yeah.
You know what? At the end of the day, everyone is a human being.
Mhm.
Everyone, like, we spend 8 hours working every
Mhm.
day for 30, 40 years. Like, how I'm not able to, I don't know, at 2 p.m. go do something that I really want to do.
Mhm.
Because, and if I do it, I need to lie about it, because if I say the
Yeah.
truth, then I will, like, that doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
it really doesn't make sense, because we all know that you are lying, and because you will still do the thing. Isn't it better if you say, like, if you are honest, because the moment you're honest, the like, you won't be criticized, but you will be allowed to, or you will both find a way to get through it, and you will be able to do your life
Yeah.
without one day less, one less day of vacation or whatever, because you want to do X, Y, and Z. So to me, that's pretty important. We spend a lot of time working, and I want to make sure that while it's still a job, and we want to
Mhm.
make sure that things work and that we are efficient and that clients are happy and everything is working, you can have a life without lying, without getting so much anxiety or stress, because that then what we're doing then,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how it's a challenge,
Yeah.
because everyone has different needs, everyone has different desires. Then you need to make sure that all of those needs and desires can also, combine in a place where we can actually work together. But there are ways. There is this culture called teal culture. There
Hmm.
is a book about it, and there you can find ways. And we, for example, at CROING, we do a lot of protocols. And for example, when, I don't know, pregnancy. So how do we treat it at CROING? We see what the law offers, like what's, mandatory. And then if someone is in that position, that person can shape the protocol based on like putting themselves in their chair but also in the crown's chair, and think like, well, I feel we could do this, we could change this, we could do that, and that will be beneficial for both me and crown, blah blah blah, and everyone in my position. And then let's say someone else is in the same position, so they will go and see the protocol and they can adapt the protocol again, and everyone will vote. So the protocol makes sense for everyone, for the person in the situation and for crime. Because at the end of the day, if you go, we are staying here and the company still needs to work. But it's not that I follow what, legal, only what legal says and what I feel,
Hmm.
because I haven't been in that position. So how could I know really what do you need? Or if someone dies, like in your family, how we treat, for people, dogs are like, they love more than their own family,
Yeah.
like their parents, for example, like they really love more the dogs.
Yeah.
And others love their, I don't know, their auntie, because that auntie is the one that raised you. So
Yeah.
how the politic will be, if your mom or dad dies, then this happen. If not, you need to continue working. No, it needs to be, if like person that depends on you, that you love so much, you need a time to grieve them. So all the protocols are crying at CROING are made by the CROINGers, and we review them constantly to make sure they match the speed of life, the speed of culture, and the growth of the CROINGers.
Mhm.
That's another thing that I love as well.
I think as a business owner, sometimes they get the mission. A lot of the people get the mission. It's just the paths that we cross are just overstepped, and we as business owners try not to take things personal, and
Mhm.
hard. It's hard. So if we take it personal, how do we expect people not to have a personal life outside of our job?
100%. And some of the business owners, that I talk, and so on, they are like, well, but they work for you. They are non entrepreneurs. They don't suffer the things you suffer. They're blah blah blah. But I mean, I'm an entrepreneur because I have a team that wanna work with me. If not, it will be just me, a sole
Mhm.
entrepreneur, just me, only the only person that I wanna have a team. And if I want to have a team, I need to care about their needs. Otherwise, they won't work with me. At some point, they will leave. And they can leave, but there are ways to live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you treat people with respect and with the same way you would like to be treated, then I feel there are more opportunity for respect to show up, for compassion to exist, and for things to,
Mm,
go well.
yeah. I have to say, amazing, Alejandra, amazing. I'm just learning so much from you.
Makes me
It's
happy.
I'm overwhelmed by a lot of this information. I listen to all my shows, but I think this one I'm gonna have on repeat to listen over and over and over, because there's a lot of great information that you're giving us here, and I again I greatly appreciate that.
Thank
But
you.
again, I want to be mindful of your time, porque at this point I want to keep you on forever here. But with that being said, let me ask just a few following questions before I let you go.
Of course.
One of them is, what advice would you give to other Latinas who want to break into the creative or marketing space?
I will say that your voice matters. your creativity has the power to inspire and lead, and the fact that you have an accent or that you might make a mistake when you speak, that doesn't mean that you are not a good communicator, that you are not a good creative. We now have AI, we have team members that we can keep learning, that there are many, many ways for you to raise your voice. And I know that sometimes we are like, I'm smarter in my, my mother language, or, I feel I'm better, or I don't want to like for people to not get what I'm saying. It's hard, or at least that happened to me at the beginning. But at the end of the day, your ideas and your experience or your brain is there, and your heart, and you need to express it no matter how. Like, you can talk, you can write, you can, use AI to improve a little bit, you can do whatever, but you need to say it, you need to talk, you need to express, because we have, as a Latinas, we have a lot of connections, I will say, inside. And we think, either if you live it or experience it in your original country, let's say, or through other generations, there is this need to be creative in order to survive,
Mm-hmm.
that we have, that is so important. The way we solve things, the way we look at things, the way we connect with others, and that's needed. So if you are in a room, it's because you deserve to be there, and you need to talk, and you need to express yourself. And I know it's hard sometimes, but the moment you do it, things start to change. So I will encourage every Latina out there to just say, talk, and go for it.
Be you. Oh my God. Okay. Um. So, what is next for Crowing? What are your goals, and what projects do you have next?
So, so well, the most immediate goal that we have
Mhm.
is that in 10 days we have our retreat, end
Oh,
of the year retreat. We are going to a resort, 3 days with the whole team. So we will have a meeting, we will have a secret Santa, we will relax, we will have massage, we will have fun. And that is something that everyone at Croing like expect every year, because it's the moment where we are all together. And I mean, maybe a few won't join because of personal reasons, but in general everyone will be there. And so that's one. And then this year, we it was a huge growing situation for us, where the biggest brands of the world
mhm.
paid attention to what we are saying, and the offering that we have, and those things will materialize next year. So I think next year will be awesome. I think, yeah, you will see a lot of crowing campaigns and advertising being
Nice.
featured in the biggest magazines of advertising in the world. And we have a lot of plans with these brands that we're really proud of be working together. So next year will be that year.
I'm excited to see what Crowing is doing and what Crowing will release in 2025. I'm
Okay.
so excited for you, Alejandra. I'm so I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all the brainstorming and all the hard work that you're doing and happy doing. Will the rest of the public will see that hard work that you've been doing yourself. Pero
Thank you. And thank you for doing this. This is so important. Just
thank
by the name of the podcast means that there are Latina leaders out there. And it's so important for other Latinas that are, even, for example, that are already leaders or that want to get there, to really listen to these stories, because we need more references, we need to
you.
see that it's possible. And for me, one of my reference was Jessica Walsh, and she's not a Latina, but she is a powerful leader here in the US. And I saw her when I started, and I was like, like, she's so smart, and the way she do things, I love her. And today we collaborate on projects. So, and from being my role model, she became one of my partners. and or I mean, we collaborate our agencies, so you need to see these role models to be able to believe that it's possible and to even end up collaborating with them. So thank you for doing this for the community because it's so needed, and
Mhm.
thank you for your passion as well,
Thank you.
and thank
And
you for having.
so you mentioned Jessica Walsh. What was that book that you mentioned earlier? Because I want to make sure that our readers know what it was. It was,
The book.
yeah, you mentioned a book that somebody had a book that was about. I was paying attention too much that I didn't even write my notes. You know what? We have it on the podcast. We'll bring it up again and resurface it. So
Yeah,
I
I
know
don't
you mentioned a
remember
book.
the book,
Yeah,
but
no, but we talked about everything. So
she has a book. Jessica has a book.
oh yeah, okay.
I feel I didn't mention it, but she has a book, and I'm writing a book that is not published yet, and it's
Okay.
called Leccionando Raíces.
Uh-huh.
But it will
I'm
be,
looking forward to it.
huh?
If it's a lot like who you are yourself and your identity, well, not your identity, but you as you express yourself, I'm ready to read that.
Yeah,
Please
thank
let us know
you.
when it's published.
I hope it will see live next year.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully, yes. I will definitely let you know.
Thank you. Pero before I let you go, I ask all my interviews here, do you consider yourself a leader? Why or why not? I consider yourself a leader. I'm already saying that out there. So I guess I'm asking, why do you consider yourself a leader?
I think it's because people that works with me told me that they feel inspired, or at some point or in some moments they feel inspired, or they feel they can count on me, and they use the word leader. So because I feel it's not something that you can attribute to yourself, it's something that it needs to be attributed by the people that is affected to that leadership. Because it's a small difference and huge at the same time between being a leader and being a boss.
Mhm.
So, I feel I do it intentionally, but I've received comments from my team that they feel that way. So that's why I will say I am one of it.
Mhm. Okay. That's a good answer. I had all kinds of other expressive answers to use why you would be a leader, but that's me. I'm happy you see that that your team members see you as a leader in exactly in the same way that I think I would see you too.
Thank
Bueno,
you, love.
with that being said, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm excited for your book. I'm excited to see your projects. I'm excited to have you back on the podcast.
Of course, I would love.
Yeah, I'm ready to fly you out here just to talk to us and just to
Yeah,
I
where are you based?
at Texas.
Love it. Oh my
Yeah,
God. No, I
yeah.
will definitely love to go there.
Thank you for joining us on the Latina Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your amigas, comadres, hermanas, your mom, your tias, or anyone who you think would enjoy the conversation. The Latina Leadership Podcast is a weekly video and audio podcast since 2020. Visit our online Latina Leaders directory, join our growing community of Latina changemakers, keep up with our calendar of events, or reach out to us if you're interested in supporting the Latina Leadership Podcast by visiting our website at latinaleadershippodcast.com. And with that, we'll see you next time.